Like we're still a couple short before up here. Hey, we'll call to order the August 6th, 2026 MPO Transportation Tech Committee. Maybe before we start, it looks like we've got a lot of new people. Maybe do a quick introductions. I'm John Larson. I'm with the City of Urbandale. Tony Filipini with DART.
John Davis, City of Des Moines.
Steve Neighbor, City of Des Moines.
Bert Ross, City of Des Moines.
Ryan Duckburger, City of Pleasant Hill.
Pat Brenner, City of Johnston.
Aaron Jarash, City of Drafts. Ryan Gaines, new Public Works Director for the City of Clyde.
Dave Hockett with Dallas County.
Ryan Steinman, I'm the new Public Works Director for Indianola.
Hey, everybody. So for a motion, full of the agenda. Second. First motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next one is for a motion for our meeting minutes.
I'll move there.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Our next one is to report and vote on the Transportation Improvement Program amendment. Texas.
Yes, good morning. We have an exciting slate of amendments here for both the current and then the next TIP that will come into effect on October 1st. Thanks to an auspicious grant agreement by the City of Des Moines. Their SS4A agreement has been signed. There we are. And so we're very excited about that and get these projects added to the TIP so that they can begin to move along with any federal processes there. So I'll open the floor to anyone from the City of Des Moines to add some color here, but otherwise I'll go through one project at a time. First one here, MLK Junior Parkway from Cottage Grove to Hickman Avenue, and all these projects are funded under SS4A. Anything you'd like to add on this project or the next one?
Yeah, I know it's been a couple of years to get the grant agreement executed. That's not normal. It normally takes a long time, maybe 6 to 9 months, but not 2 years. So we got kind of going into a roll spin with the new administration. So we're very happy. It's a $13 million total grant for a total of $19 million projects. That includes over 3 miles of corridor safety improvements, including one of the unfortunately notorious worst intersections in the state, Maury and US 69, and then we've got a couple corridors like these, Martin King Junior Parkway, where we're and 19th Street. They're parallel one ways where we have excess lane capacity, and we've had issues in the past with crashes, fatalities, where we're doing lane reductions and improving the pedestrian and bicycle facilities along these. And another border project is 4th Avenue, right through Drake University. Unfortunately, last year, we did have a couple of incidents where a band student was hit crossing the road and put in the hospital. Father and son was hit put in the hospital crossing the road. And this project would have prevented those vehicles weaving a 4-lane roadway, which are prone to jockeying. And with us making this reconfiguring the lanes and making this put in a median, that stuff wouldn't have happened. So, and then we've got kind of a citywide effort to put in retroreflective backplates as well to make the signals more visible. We've put these at some pilot intersections and seen great success. Over 20% reduction in red light running at these locations, just by making these signals more visible. So this will add address 232 signals across the city. And then with that, we're also doing some speed feedback signs. A lot of our schools in Des Moines are around, unfortunately, on major corridors, which are on the high entry network. And so we're adding some speed feedback signs. So very excited to get this one go forward. I was definitely sweating on this one. If we didn't get the money, we were not going to be able to do these projects. So
Sounds like it came in just in a nick of time.
Yeah.
So staff recommends approval. These would be amended into the current and then the next tip, which comes into effect again on October 1st. So, board, any questions? Otherwise,
Any questions from anybody? Okay, I mean, it is exciting to finally have this moving forward. Do I have the motion?
To approve.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, this motion carries. Our next item is number 5 for report and vote. The Transportation Capital Improvements Program update.
Hello, thank you all for submitting your capital improvement programs and the exciting Excel sheets that help make this report possible. As a reminder, the Transportation Capital Improvement Program is an annual report that the MPO does every year. That's a summary of transportation related capital improvement projects over the next 4 years. So looking at the results from this year, we do separate projects by different types such as streets, intersections, bridges, traffic studies, parking lots, active transportation, and transit. This is showing the project type by jurisdiction. And overall, over the next 4 years, there's projected to be $1.3 billion invested into the region. This is down from last year's TCIP, which was $1.7 billion. Looking at the distribution of projects, most of the funding will be going for streets, which is similar to previous years. Most of the funding will be is projected to be spent in FY 2027, with a decrease in 28 and increasing for 20. We have mapped all the transportation projects throughout the region, and there will be an interactive map to y'all very soon. And lastly, we have mapped all the projects onto our degree of transportation disadvantage map, which looks at different populations, which are typically transportation disadvantaged, such as carless households or single heads of households. And so 32% of the region's population lives within these census tracts. And over the next 4 years, approximately 18% of the funding is projected to be spent in these census tracts. Compared to previous TCIP last year, 26% of the funding was projected to be spending in those census tracts. Staff recommends approval. Are there any questions?
Just a process question. I'm just not as familiar. What happens after the approval? Does it go to the policy committee?
We do take it to the policy committee. It's largely just an informational type of document. As Claire mentioned, there will be an interactive map. So this is helpful if community member don't really know what community they're in, but I see this construction project going on, or what is this? They can go in there and more easily find without having to jump to several different community CIPs. So we should try to make it more transparent of what projects are going on. So keep that in mind if you get calls or you want to link to this on your websites or anything like that. That's part of the use to it. And it's also just a way to kind of keep track of what's being spent, what types of projects over time are these projects aligning with the long range plan goals, or we implementing the plan.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, I would take a motion.
Move, David.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those same sign. Motion carried. Next item is item 6 for report and vote on the freight plan approval.
Good morning, everyone. As discussed back in June, MPO staff has drafted a freight plan. This looks at how the freight system impacts Central Iowa, more specifically the MPO planning area. This plan was developed with freight stakeholders, first coming to you, going to the Iowa Freight Advisory Council, as well as the MPO hosting working group sessions with different freight stakeholders in the development of the plan.
To provide an overview of the plan, starts with introduction, which shares the history of freight planning and FPO planning areas. It also talks about the stakeholder engagement process and the outline and goals for this plan. We move on into the existing conditions. So this examines rail, truck, aviation, and pipeline. It discusses freight generating infrastructure, as well as freight impediments that can be seen within the FPO planning area. From there, it moves into safety. So there's analysis of truck safety, rail safety, and pipelines. After that, it goes to planning considerations, and a lot of these trends that have been identified through stakeholder engagement, more specifically our Freight Advisory Council. And so that looks at safety, the economy, automation, and electrification, as well as future projects within the FPO planning area related to freight. And lastly is our implementation chapter. That is what the FPO will lead and support on in the freight space once this plan is adopted. There was a public comment period. Online, there's no comments received. However, there was feedback received from our final working group session, and that was incorporated in this document. So that included updated maps, including a section about manufacturing, and some changes to some language in the document. The FPO's role, the main areas that we see ourselves leading and supporting in is with rail crossings, truck routes, and truck parking, and a full list of these implementation items can be found in the final chapter, chapter 5. From here, once the plan is adopted, the next steps looks like continuing engagement with freight stakeholders. So that includes going to Freight Advisory Council when invited. The partnership has a logistics roundtable that includes freight stakeholders, so attending those meetings as well. It includes creating a dashboard with freight-related data, so member governments can easily access that, which will include impediments, routes, and freight crossing information, as well as prioritizing some of those implementation items I mentioned that are in chapter 5, what would the next steps look like in recent. And then lastly, utilizing the freight plan to inform the FPO's long-range transportation plan updates. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions. If not, staff recommends it.
I know it's one of the implementation was the truck route gaps. So is the MPO going to lead an effort to try and, because one thing is, like we probably, I don't know how all the metro communities have the truck routes map. Is that going to be an effort that includes kind of a look at the holistic map of the truck routes, counties, cities, and everything?
Yeah, so you're correct. So it's collecting the data again and then identifying where those gaps. Similarly, we do with the regional trail gap map. So looking at the routes, seeing where those gaps are, and then communicating that out, and then working together with you all.
We've done a little bit of that work over the last couple of years in development of this, but that's going to be a separate deliverable, if you will, to look at. Some cities have where truck routes are allowed, where trucks are allowed. Some have where they're not allowed. So piecing that together can be, it's not as straightforward as it might sound.
Yeah, it can be a challenge, and that's probably some reason why we have areas where a truck route just ends, like in a jurisdiction. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then the interstate truck travel liability factor, I saw the maps in there. There was like some of our interstates were red, and it just said over 1.75. But I guess, but I didn't see anything in the implementation about addressing that. But like when you go to like Chicago, I know we're not Chicago, but like their goal is to stay below 1.9. So like is our when it says over 1.75, or that's not necessarily bad, right? I mean, we're not going to do anything about that, are we? I don't know if that's. I just noticed the map had like some areas it's red and over 1.75, and it's like, well, it makes it look like it's bad, but I don't know if that is bad, really.
That's a performance measure that's tracked in our long range plan. So that's why it's incorporated in there. And comparing to the whole network, the goal is to be at 1. So that's why it's highlighted as red.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something we track for the efficiency of the interstate system and to know where there's.
So, yeah, I think our goal is like to about like 1.25 or something. I think I've read around, but like we're not going to do anything. I mean, there's not an implementation to change the 1.75 or whatever it's over down to 1. It's there.
That's Jenny can speak to this too, but I don't think specifically for freight itself. When we look at our overall long range plan, when we look at projects, that's part of the story.
Okay.
But nothing specifically called out to do anything for freight.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't know what we would do to lower the whole type of track. Yeah. Okay. And then the only other question I had was the pipeline, or you actually had a map of the pipelines in there. Is that where'd you get that at? I'm surprised that some of those companies release that information, or
This is the Department of Natural Resources.
Okay, because there's one OK in there. I didn't see them in the Translo, but one OK is a company that if you work near the pipelines, they'll bring you in to show you a scary video. Pretty cool, but if you work on the pipeline, but they have a bunch of they're on the Pleasant Hill, the Moines border, and have a bunch of petroleum and natural gas pipelines. I don't know if that was out there or not.
The data was retrieved from the Iowa Department of Natural Resources,
Okay.
so that's where that was.
It's also a federal site that has all the pipelines on it too.
Oh, well, now
You get access to that.
okay, cool. Very good. Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, staff recommends approval.
No further questions, I would take a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is number 7, upcoming events, and Addison would be glad to answer your questions if there are any items listed in the packet. No questions. Or next thing is other items, Dylan?
Yeah, we do have a few other items of interest. Are you gonna speak first or want me to speak to it? Either way. ICAP application, we usually send out, we probably would have had that on the agenda as a standing item, but we missed it. But pre-applications for ICAP are due to the MPO by the end of the month on August 29th. There's a form on our website. If not, it will be soon. I know we're working to update it from last year's information. Basically what that is, fill out a pre-application. We just check to make sure that anything you're applying for is consistent with the long range plan. Then you can have that resolution when you go to apply for the DOT. So we'll have that back in September for pre-application to be approved. But we ask for those to be into us by the end of the month. I think other things of interest, I don't know if we have it on here, but reminder that applications for SBA TAP are due Friday. There'll be a reminder that goes out to email as well, but just since we're all sitting here, please keep that in mind. If you have questions with the application process, feel free to talk to us after the meeting. Happily talk to you about that. Anything else from staff? Oh, there's bags in the back of the room. Feel free to take one of those bags. Those are as part of the safety Vision Zero campaign. There's some slap bracelets that have messaging on it. There's stickers. Just take those back to the community, give those out to whoever you want, put them in City Hall, let people take them. Whatever you want to do with them, that's what that's there for, is to help just promote that messaging. Okay, did I miss anything? I can understand. Okay.
Anybody have anything else for the group today? Our next meeting will be next Thursday, September 3rd. All the meeting adjourned. Yeah. It's up. It's